One report from Sport, and now the English media lose their mind. Yes, people, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said in the news regarding Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, more importantly, asking for yours, and yes, all over the English media, citing an article from Sport, Enzo Fernandez has offered himself to Barcelona. We're going to reflect on that today, and these stories, of course, are coming out after his agent has said, yeah, we're not leaving Chelsea. So what's going on here? I smell something rotten. Anyway, we're going to get into it today, talk about it a little bit. So I want to thank you for joining me here on Football Therapy. If you do dig the content, then you're welcome to subscribe, friend. If you do subscribe, hit the bell. And I'll always thank you for liking the video and supporting the content. Makes a difference to us content creators, so thank you very much. And let's get into it. It's going around all the English newspapers and websites, but we're going to use goal.com to read about this story. Enzo Fernandez seeking Chelsea exit, £170 million signing from Benfica, offers himself to Barcelona despite having 8 years to run on the Blues contract. Fernandez is reportedly ready to leave Chelsea just 18 months after joining the club, as the midfielder has offered himself to Barcelona. By the way, for context, Enzo Fernandez ultimately was on a 9.5-year deal. He signed an 8.5-year deal when he signed last January, and we've triggered an extension. It kind of got lost in the media a little bit, so it'd actually be 9.5 years at Chelsea contract. Essentially literally a decade contract at Chelsea. Wow. So what happened? The Argentina international has decided he wants to leave the Stamford Bridge club, according to Sport, and his heart is set on a move to Barcelona. The Catalan side are looking to strengthen their squad for next season, and previously has shown interest in the ex-Benfica star, given his excellent role in Argentina's World Cup success in 2022. However, there are several obstacles that will likely prevent the 23-year-old from getting his desired move to the Camp Nou. For one, Barca's dire financial situation will make it difficult for them to afford his wages, and most of all, transfer fee. Chelsea spent a whopping £107 million for him in January, plus he's tied to the London side till 2032. Yes, this is mental. Yes, we're going to break this down in just a moment. But I just wanted to interject. Yes, Barcelona, or Brocolona, certainly wouldn't be able to afford the signing, but it's not the wages that are a problem. Maybe the wages in terms of his total wage packet that he will be due over the length of his contract. Because make no bones about it, let's not get it wrong here. Barcelona pay their players loads of money, granted less since they had money problems, but Chelsea are paying very low wages to players at the moment because of our new wage structure. So you're not like any buying club would be absorbing a massive, weekly wage. In fact, they probably would double it. Did you know Fernandez remains a crucial figure for Mauricio Pochettino's team? He's made 29 appearances in all competitions this season, scoring 6 goals. Of course, most recently that wonder free kick against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. But what is next for Enzo Fernandez? Fernandez will attempt to inspire Chelsea to another victory, of course, as we take on Crystal Palace on Monday. The Blues are now 11th in the Premier League table and will be looking for a big confidence boost before we play Man City. Alright, so should we talk about it? Yeah, well, this is almost certainly bollocks. We all saw Enzo Fernandez's free kick when he celebrated by, of course, taking off his shirt, but then pointing down to the grass. No, not signing for Aston Villa, but as in, like, I'm staying here. And indeed, his agent came out and says, yes, look, we don't want to go anywhere. We were sold the Chelsea projects by the hierarchy, and we were explained that this will be a 1 to 3 year process, that, this isn't immediately going to work. Of course, he's been here for a year. He hasn't even had one full season yet. They understand there's going to be problems. To be honest, the player and his agents and his entourage would probably been thinking, wow, this is way more turbulent and difficult than we thought it was going to be in terms of how it starts. But ultimately, it was always going to be tricky early doors. Now the truth is, Enzo Fernandez is very young, and yes, ultimately a 9.5-year deal is very long. He's locked down, bro. Even he'd have to literally put in a transfer request, like semi-publicly, and Barcelona would have to pay. Chelsea would demand to make a profit on him because they are selling him with so many years on his contract that the asset value has gone up, up, and up. So he spent £107 million. Chelsea would demand, they wouldn't want to sell him because they see him integral, but maybe if they did sell him, they'd be like, all right, well, 115 or north of that £150 million. A fee Barcelona simply couldn't come up with. I don't think the wages would be a problem, but yeah, they simply couldn't come up with that fee. Now, Enzo Fernandez was wanted by a lot of teams. He won the World Cup, he won the best young player at the World Cup, and he was convinced to join the Chelsea project. It's not like we were like flying high. Yes, we'd relatively recently won the Champions League, but we were like still struggling a bit. Do you know what I mean? It clearly wasn't a vintage Chelsea, it was a rebuild. And as Enzo Fernandez's agent has said, we understood this was going to be a project that was going to take time. And Chelsea love Enzo Fernandez, and I think he does like living in London. Obviously, better times are here to come for Enzo than what he's experienced so far at Chelsea. But you could see his relationship with the other players, his celebration with their goal. It's frustrating because, of course, well, obviously I'm talking about it, but as I'm inclined to do when it's all around the media, I reflect on media stories. Look, I originally didn't want to talk about this, but you know, you Google Chelsea news, this is everywhere. So I kind of feel like for the series, it's my duty to react to this. But look, man, it's nonsense. He's not going anywhere. It would take like a ridiculous bid and him asking to leave, and then Chelsea going, well, let's, you know, we see him as replaceable in terms of playing right now, and we've just made all this money. But he's not going to Barcelona. Yes, it's classic like Classico clubs, Barcelona and Real Madrid, that just think they have. And look, this is not exclusive to them. People will think the same with the big six clubs in the Premier League. This entitlement to everyone else's players. Like there's that Twitter account managing Barca. Yeah, should we sign Enzo Fernandez? Obviously, he just scored the free kick. It was probably circulating around Twitter or X in terms of, oh yeah, he is quality. Oh yeah, he has won the World Cup. Yeah, he's got a few goals this season. Oh yeah, Enzo Fernandez is really good. Should we sign him? Should we sign him? Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of sense of entitlement. I mean, look, this is football. It's kind of like Chelsea fans looking at Elise going, yeah, we should sign, yeah, let's take Elise. I mean, we actually produce them from the academy, so that's a bad example. But do you know what I mean? So there is that everywhere. But look, massive long contract. The fact how these new owners at Chelsea, they were fuming to lose, you know, Rudiger and Christensen to the La Liga giants, and they want to be player traders, which ultimately we are. Just look how much sales and purchases we've done lately, but on their terms. They don't want to be like, okay, we'll buy these superstars and immediately sell them. Though interestingly, Liam Twomey of The Athletic has referenced before Moises Caicedo as a player that if Chelsea do want to sell in the future, they'll be able to sell him at a profit, which seemed wild to hear that because we overpaid for Caicedo. He's £115 million. And you don't buy a player like that to flip for a profit unless, you know, in 4 or 5 years you sell him for 200 million and, you know, use one of your slightly younger South American superstars. Very interesting, kind of financially vulgar if the market truly is going to go that way. We'll see what happens though, the game remains the game. But yes, I do think this Enzo Fernandez story is nonsense. It's coming from Sport as well, that's saying Chelsea are looking at buying Frankie de Jong from Barcelona, so they've obviously been trying to flog Frankie de Jong for a long time as a sort of sellable asset who is very good, but clearly they don't see their future being built around him. Though he's still quite young, Frankie de Jong, but he doesn't suit the Chelsea model. He's on massive wages. That's probably why they want to sell him, because I don't think he took a wage reduction like, you know, all the Barcelona greats and legends that, you know, were slowly being picked off. They were like tearing up their contracts and leaving, or taking wage reductions. He wasn't doing that. He was like, no, I've just signed here. You know, remember when they were trying to force him to go to Man United or force him to be sold? He was like, no, I want to honour my contract and just play for Barcelona and, you know, try hard and be a professional. And, you know, I think his missus really likes living in Barca as well. So they've been trying to flog him for a while, and that's probably why this publication has been like, oh yeah, and Frankie de Jong's been looked at by Chelsea as well as another couple of Premier League clubs. But why would we want to sign a player on really high wages that goes against the model that we've been developing. I think he's still 25 or under. I mean, I have to double check that, but I think it's a nonsense briefing, or not even briefing, newspaper. I don't think Enzo Fernandez has offered himself to Barcelona just 18 months after signing a 9.5-year deal with Chelsea. He's never looked unhappy. Well, he's looked unhappy in terms of bad results, but training, he's clearly got a relationship with the players. He's always like the first to celebrate with whoever scored for Chelsea, a Chelsea goal scorer, and there seems to be a togetherness there. We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, the last game he looked way better. There's a lot to be talked about with how he plays, and I want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about that now. So something on the Straight Out of Cobham podcast, which is the Athletic Chelsea podcast, that was spoken about that I kind of agree with, is how close Enzo Fernandez plays to Moises Caicedo, which is kind of funny really, because in pre-season we signed Caicedo. We knew Pochettino was coming in as the Chelsea manager. We knew he likes to play a 4-2-3-1. So we were thinking, yeah, this is going to be the long-term double pivot dynasty of Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. Of course, it turned, at times, we saw Conor Gallagher playing in the double pivot. And we saw Enzo Fernandez playing in the number 10, closer to goal. I don't know if Enzo wants to play closer to goal, if that's a demand of his, or he feels like he can affect the game more. But the truth is, he affects the game when he plays much deeper. I think he played as a lone pivot for Argentina, didn't he, at some points? Which is wild, really, kind of like a sort of regista quarterback. He's not really that kind of like Jorginho, regista metronomic player. He's more there's more mobility to his game, and it's not like he's fast, but he wants to sort of move into spaces. He'll do more daring passes than Jorginho. Should certainly score a lot more goals than Jorginho, and he's got that sort of rough Argentinian robustness to him in terms of like being a bit more CDM-y, where Jorginho was a little bit of a delicate Italian, a bit more petite. We've all seen that picture of him on the beach looking, not like too bulky, which is great, which is fine in terms of how he is and his physique, but if you're in transition and you want someone to just put a tackle in or be a little bit more of a blocker, they've got to have a little bit of something to him. Do you know what I mean? So the truth is, he didn't work as that number 10. And yes, sometimes he works well as that number 8 when it's a true 4-3-3. Caicedo as a lone pivot, Gallagher and Enzo as sort of shuttling 8s. But ultimately, the closer you keep Caicedo and Enzo together, the better the two South Americans play. We saw, of course, that a great example against Aston Villa, them constantly passing between each other, moving around, essentially as a double pivot, but a mobile double pivot that was constantly recycling possession between each other. They need to develop that chemistry long term, and they need to, they can be one of the great midfield partnerships for a decade, which is something really special there. The potential is absolutely huge, but you have to keep them close together. You can't have Enzo running off, shuttling into that left channel as a number 8 and leaving Caicedo, because their ability to combine and progress goes, and we're really vulnerable in transition. We conceded so many goals like that, leaving Caicedo by himself to basically have people run past him, which is really unhelpful. So it is a 4-2-3-1. It's Caicedo. It's slightly asymmetrical, like I'll show you on my line. Where you see Enzo Fernandez slightly more advanced on the left-hand side, but still close to Caicedo in a double pivot. Caicedo is kind of more central, and Gallagher is a number 10, but more, if you look at his heat map, he's still occupying the right side of the pitch a little bit more. So it's about getting the most out of Enzo by playing him right. There's a question there, has he asked to play further forward more? But the truth is, he's got more chance of scoring goals when he crashes the box late. He can affect the game and dictate the game so much better from deep, and it probably lets our attackers express themselves a little bit better. So if we keep playing him like that, and he has the opportunity to be playing better because he's being, put out to play like that, and he'll have more fun, he'll enjoy being at Chelsea more, Chelsea will get more wins. Still, I wanted to talk about these headlines because, of course, it's sensationalism that's making a lot of conversations happen, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on it. So leave me yours, please, down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this silly story, so please do leave them down in the comment section. I'd thank you for liking and subscribing, and do return soon, mate. I'd love to see you back here. Alright, peace.